welcome back to the Wonbyone Podcast. This is a show where we talk about the mindset, habits, the systems that drive success in sport and business, wherever you are. I'm joined today with the overseas veteran, a guy that I've watched just play throughout my career, being a two-guard myself. Younger guy coming up, I obviously saw the level of talent that you had and the dedication to your game. Being the stature that you are, I know that it took something else besides just your ability to score. It took the mentality, it took your dedication to the game, your discipline. And so I wanted to bring you on here and just talk about your life, man. Talk about what you did to get to where you are. Talk about the journey that you're on now, post-basketball, all of that. Will you guys help me welcoming Billy Barron? What's going on, man?
What's going on, man? I appreciate you having me on here. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, man. So tell the people, just a quick little background. Who are you? We'll get into what do you do, but just who are you and what have you done up until now? I guess we'll talk about that.
Well, first and foremost, father of three, husband, right? Just retired, played 10 years overseas, come from a basketball family. My father was a Division I coach for just about 40 years. Me and my brother both played for him. And now my brother is coaching with the San Antonio Spurs. So I come from a basketball family. The carrot's always been in front of me, has always been, the NBA and trying to be the best that I can with basketball from a very, very young age. So, so that's me in a nutshell.
Are you the younger brother or the older brother?
Younger, thank God.
Okay. So what was it like, man, coming up in this basketball family? I know you said you played for your dad. This was in high school?
Played for my dad in college. So me and my brother both played for my dad.
In college?
Yeah, the luxury of being a younger brother, 5 years younger, is seeing what he did well and what he didn't do well. Like, he kind of blazed the trail for me, and I kind of had my notepad there my entire life, being like, okay, don't do this. Okay, do this. But yeah, it was like, I think there was like an invisible pressure that he was kind of setting a bar that was fairly high for guys like us and who not super athletic, and he was doing extremely well. And so I was like, I threw this internal pressure on me, which might have been a little bit unfair, but at the end of the day, it helped push me. And then he played for my dad at the University of Rhode Island. He had a hell of a career there. He was all-time 8-10 three-point shooter and all that.
That's incredible.
And so I kind of came up right behind him. But when I was coming out of high school, my brother and my dad had a little bit of a rocky relationship, I would say player-coach relationship through college. And my mom felt a lot of that, right? She was caught in the middle. So when I was coming up, they advised me to go elsewhere. Even though I was already committed to play for my father, I turned down a bunch of high majors. And it wasn't what it is today, right? There's no money, right? It was just a scholarship and that's all. So I didn't have a tough time turning down those high majors to do this. And then eventually I went to go play for Virginia with Tony Bennett, who's a really, really good guy.
Incredible.
Honestly, my heart wasn't always in it just because I knew my dad was going through some tough times back at Rhode Island with his job. His seat started getting a little bit hot. So honestly, like my heart wasn't in it, and I wasn't going to sit there and watch my dad get fired without me having to do something about it. So I transferred midway through my freshman year from Virginia to Rhode Island. Had to sit out, right? Back in the day, you had to sit out. So first game sophomore year, we basically lost everyone from the year before. My first game with Rhode Island is midway through the year. We're 1-11. It wasn't good. So finished off that year, did what we could. Dad ended up getting fired. So there I am after my sophomore year. And it's like, wow, I haven't played any college basketball. I dreamt of this college career that I've always worked for. And here I am with 2 years left and really nothing to show for it. Yeah. And I'm probably going to be on my third school now, right? Because I'm not going to stay at the school that fired my father. So then it actually came down between Purdue, Providence, and Canisius. My dad takes the job at Canisius, small Division I in upstate New York, in Buffalo. And I remember taking my official to Purdue, and Matt Painter was like, come on, like you're going to be like one of my guys, like basically saying I'll be a starter, all that. And I ended up taking the visit, and I went to Canisius to go visit that school. Obviously two different worlds. But I said, you know what, like I'm going to stay loyal. And I felt like this was definitely the best fit for who I was. My dad was going to basically give me the keys and allow me to score the ball at a high level. Instead of being a role player at a bigger school, it was probably best for my pro potential, even though they were such a small school, to be like, hey, you're going to be able to showcase yourself. Now go bet on yourself, right? And it was the best decision I made for my basketball career, honestly. I learned a lot through my first 2 years. So I was more so prepared mentally to be like, all right, we're going for it. So I ended up playing from at Canisius my last 2 years.
What was the load like your last 2 years at Canisius for you?
What was the load like?
Yeah, just like offensively, defensively, what was your load like personally? I know you had a lot of expectations, obviously playing for your dad coming up. You've got a lot of expectations. You're now transferred 2 times. You're like, okay, this is it. I got to make it shake here. I got to make it work. What was that pressure and that load like for you?
That's probably the pressure that I missed the most of not playing basketball. Is that
Mm.
pressure I took, where it turned my world around when my dad was fired. Because unlike in Europe where you're fired, a coach is fired every week, basically. My dad was at Rhode Island for 10 years, right? So I grew up there. That was home. And for that to happen, it was a little bit of an embarrassment, right? I
Mm-hmm.
didn't feel like going around school. I felt like everyone was looking at
Yeah,
me. So
yeah.
my mentality shifted from trying to please everyone else, like, oh, you're, Jimmy's little brother. Are you going to
You
be as
got
good
that
at it?
F, you got, yeah,
Exactly. I put that right behind me. I
yeah.
said, okay,
Yeah.
watch this. And quickly it turned, and it was the best thing for me because that's the mentality I used for the rest of my professional career. And I really went to Canisius like you have to lead the country in scoring. There's no other way to do it. That was the bar, and it was a reality every day I worked at it.
How do you get somebody like and I love hearing this, man, because for me, from my perspective, that was kind of the same mentality I had. In college, I had one of the leading scorers in the country, but that's the mentality I had. And I tell cats that now, and I'm just like, that's the level that I believe you've got to be at to get there. But something happened to you. It's usually a trial or a tribulation that you go through to then the light turns on and you're like, okay, now I'm here. But if that doesn't happen to you, how do you, manufacture that situation? Or how do you tell kids, how do you get them to that mindset and to that mind frame?
I think it's something that's a
It's
tough one.
tough. It's tough.
Shit has to hit the fan. I
Yeah.
think for everyone,
Yeah.
and not everyone's gonna be LeBron. Not everyone's gonna have this linear path. You're just over everyone for your whole career. That's very very rare.
Yeah.
Shit's gotta hit the fan, and it's all about the person you become on the other side, of that shit, right? It's
Yeah.
that's the person that's gonna be stronger. And with European basketball, there's a lot of BS that's going to come your way
Yeah.
every week. You know it, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, understanding that I had the correct mentality to approach that BS and be like, all right, like this isn't going to shake me. I credit that all to that moment when my dad got fired. And I love that pressure. I miss it because it was like, I remember going to a small school and I'm watching Virginia at that time. They're doing very, very well. All my boys are still there. They're winning the ACC championship my senior year, right? And I still was like, okay, it's like I didn't panic. I was more so like there was a sense of I think the best word is urgency. Like
Yeah.
we need to do this now, but it was every single day, whether it was a game, an individual workout, it was every single day. I will get better because I'm going to do more work than everyone else.
I think for me, in listening to you, I think it comes down to just the want for it. I think that nowadays, kids, and you're a father, I'm not yet, hopefully one day, but I think the way that I grew up, it was tough. Times were tough. And I think now there's so many other things that kids can do. There's other things that they can do. They're not so interested in the grind that it takes to get to. I didn't have anything else. I was just going to play basketball. That was all I was going to do. Go to school and play basketball. But now the kids, they've got social media, they're hanging out, they've got all these other obstacles that they've got to face that we didn't have to face. And that's kind of what I think about it. I think that it's important to be put into these situations where shit hits the fan. But in today's day, it's like these kids aren't put into these situations often. So how do you manufacture that from a parent's perspective?
I don't know yet because my oldest is only 6, so I
Yeah,
have no idea how I'm gonna handle it.
yeah,
Like I'm going to have to let him feel his own feelings and be like,
yeah.
how are you gonna respond? Because I can't respond for you.
Hmm.
I think the problem that you see on like a social media, you don't see shit hitting the fan on social media. No one posts that. No one
Right.
posts anxiety. No one posts a bad game. No one posts sleepless nights. No one does that,
Yeah.
right? That's the reality of it. Everyone says, with what I'm doing now, I ask that question, hey, what are your goals? Oh, I want to make the NBA. Well, yeah, so does everyone else. It sounds great. It's easy to say and it sounds great.
Yeah.
Do you know what comes with that statement? Do you know all the work? You don't, But I feel like now with what I'm doing, it's my job to prepare you for the valleys. It's peaks and valleys,
Yeah.
right? And it's how do you respond when you're in those valleys, right? It's easy when you're at your peak. It's easy to, everyone to text you, rah rah. You got fans, all that stuff. But how about when you're sitting on that bus, 2 for 15, your coach just cussed you out for an hour? What's that feel like?
Yeah.
How do you get out of that moment, right? How do you then develop strengths within your game? I always tell kids, like, I hope they watch a lot of I don't know if a lot of kids watch basketball, right? And I think that's a huge thing to just watch, whether it's just very casually on a Thursday night, you're watching the NBA, just watch basketball, because what I say is, how do you develop certain strengths, and then how do you leverage those strengths on the basketball court?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it comes down to. But as far as getting, I know it was a long-winded answer, but getting back to like,
I like that.
How do you respond through adversity? It's you have to be critical with yourself, right? But you also, there's a fine line of being fair with yourself at the same time. I don't think I was always fair with myself, and that's something that I struggle with. I was hard on myself, but you also got to be realistic, because if you're not realistic, that's where your anxiety can sort of dominate and take over, because this isn't just you're asking yourself to do something that's not most likely not possible.
Yeah. And that's extremely important. How did you, coming from college, what did you end your college career like? And then I want to talk about the leap from college to pro, what that leap was like.
I ended my college career. I did well my senior year. I put up good numbers. We didn't reach the ultimate goal of the NCAA tournament. This was something, again, that was very, very tough for me to deal with, to get my pops there, really. That was something that I still regret, for sure, one of my main regrets in my basketball career. But I ended with good momentum. I knew, it's funny, I'm in a high school gym for my last 2 years of my college career, right? And probably my first game there's probably 50 people in the stands. I remember that back half of my senior year, I knew I started really getting attention when I started seeing NBA teams on the sidelines at a high school, at basically like a low Division I high school gym.
Wow.
And I think one of my last games, there was a couple GMs, and then I think there was a total of like 9 teams. And I just remember my SID at the time used to come up to me and said, "Hey, this team's coming." He was so jacked up. My dad overheard him one time. Like, "Would you stop telling him? Would you?" And I'm like, "No, like honestly, like, I loved it, because I'm like, this is." I wasn't nervous about it anymore. Like, it was, when the shit hit the fan, I wasn't nervous that they were there anymore. It's like 2 years ago, if I would have told myself this, I'd been like, "Yeah, take that all day." So I left with some momentum going, leaving my college career.
I actually want to, because I work with some, we've got a wide array of athletes who follow us, and a lot of high school, college, young guys trying to become pro. And specifically for the high schoolers, I want them to understand what it looked like for you. What was your grind like when you realized you were trying to get to the next level? From high school to college to the pros. I kind of wanted to know what it looked like. What kind of work were you getting in? Were you in the gym every day? Were you watching film? What were you doing?
I think I was definitely in the gym every day. I always thought I was working hard. That was probably the main thing. But even like my professional self looked back at my college self and said, "That's not hard work," even though I thought it was hard work. Same thing with college to high school. I was always in the gym every single day. The time was being put in, whether it was 1, 2 workouts a day, right? Mm-hmm. I look back on it, and I wish I was a bit more efficient with it. I throw out the chairs, I do my ball handling, I do my shooting. Yeah. I started adding lift to my shot, which was a big thing come my senior year. I started jumping on my shot every single time. That, because I still remember I used to watch a lot of basketball, and I watched Jimmer Fredette. Jimmer's similar stature as me, and I saw the lift that he got on that shot. And then I looked at other guys like me and guys who are basically set shooters, or the guys that come in when they play zone, and you're pretty much capped out at the Division II, low Division I level. And I'm like, no, if I want to make it pro, I need to leap. I need to shoot over people. Mm-hmm. And so my senior year, I started doing that, and it was tough. I wasn't as great of a shooter. Timing, shot sequencing was all off. There were games where the stars aligned. It felt good, but for the most part, it was a struggle. But I think, fighting through the struggle, keep repping it out. And then come college, I was still always in the gym. I think those last 2 years, it was just the intensity of the workouts. Similar time, but just the intensity of the workouts was extremely higher than what it was because of that urgency. And then probably professional, everything was just diligence. Everything was there was a reason behind every shot that I took. It went from, in high school, you're like, all right, I'm going to make so many out of so many. And then similar in college. But when I became a professional, it's how am I making the shot? Am I hitting back rim? If I didn't count, if I made the shot but hit the side of the rim or the front, I didn't count it, right? So that was always the thing with shooting, how I used to learn how to push myself. And then with the diligence, just the routine of barefoot shooting to slowly incorporating game speed, to understand how working on my strengths, working on my feet. Everything is footwork, and I'm a big proponent of kids they don't understand how important footwork is and how you can use the ground basically as a power source. So this is just how my mind shifted from high school, where it's just like, all right, let's be in the gym for X amount of time, to college, where let's ramp up the intensity, to professional, let's be a little bit more diligent with it.
When we're talking about your professional career, when you look back on it, what are some of the lessons that you take away from life as a pro basketball player, your 10 years as a vet?
Always be on your toes. Try not to get too high, though. Try not to get too high, too low. Be even keeled. Consistency. I mean, you're over a 10-month season, especially those EuroLeague season, you're playing 80, 90 games. You play Real Madrid on a Friday night, then you got to go play a domestic game at 2 o'clock on a Sunday. You're playing at someone's gym. They got good players. It's their Super Bowl. They've marked you on their calendar because this is their audition for the EuroLeague. How do you still show up and then beat them by 20, right? And being able to take their best shot and being able to still perform, right? Maybe when your adrenaline isn't there, you just came off of a double week. Again, everything started with a routine. Everything is very, with a mental routine, a physical routine. I dealt with anxiety quite a bit, performance anxiety quite a bit. So it was always just keeping that at bay. How do I keep that at bay? Diligent with my routine every single day.
Now, I want to get into that. When you say performance anxiety, what do you mean?
Thinking a little bit too much of, if I don't make this shot, if I don't.
Perfectionism a little bit.
Yeah, because in Europe, like, you have 2 weeks of bad games now. The word cut gets thrown around, replacing all that. Like, thank God that never happened to me, but it was probably that anxiety that I learned to channel it the right way. And yes, I stressed myself out, but I don't know. One of my teammates, I remember I was stressing out before the game. I let him know about it, and I ended up having like a really good game. He just looked at me like I'm nuts, and I'm like, yeah, I think I am nuts, just because that anxiety would turn into confidence once that first ball went in.
Yeah,
it was weird.
Yeah,
very strange.
So what is it? What kind of system? I call them. I say systems. What are these routines that you're kind of going through, these mental frameworks, these mental routines that you're telling yourself? What are you doing?
So obviously it starts with like sleep. That'd be first one I would say. Waking up, like let's just say it was a game day. Let's say it's an 8 p.m. game, EuroLeague game. 11 a.m. shoot around. Waking up, coffee, podcast, whatever you're listening to. Going to the gym, get there an hour before, get my body moving, right? Get my mobilization, my balance, all of that. Get my good sweat in, and then before that, eating the same thing every single day. So I ate for my blood type. So scrambled eggs in the morning. I'm O negative. Scrambled eggs in the morning. Go to the gym, mobilization, functionality, turn on all the light switches in the body, right? Go out there, get a good sweat in, shoot around, get my heart going so I feel like, hey, I could probably play right now. Lunch, eat the same thing, and then go home. I try to take a nap. Wasn't really a big napper just because mine was always racing. I then tapped into a breathing exercise. So I would do Wim Hof's little breathing routine mixed in with some box breathing. And then sometimes if I had to watch my own highlights on YouTube or Steph Curry, just see the ball go in, when I'm sitting there on the bed, after my breathing routine, cold shower, and then 2 espressos out the door. And I always knew I could always monitor if I was ready by listening to calm music. Like I'm a big R&B guy or country even. If I'm listening to like hardcore like hip hop, that means I'm not ready for the game. If I need someone to get me jacked up, that means I'm not ready. If I need some like country music or like R&B to like calm me down, now I'm ready to go. So
How do we like it's and I'm listening to you say that and it sounds gimmicky and it sounds funny, but I got my own routines. You know what I mean? Everybody has their
we're all quirky in our own way,
right? And so but I'll tell that to somebody who hasn't been there and they'll think it's funny or they'll think it's a joke. And I'm like, no, they're actually things that we do to make to get ourselves ready and get ourselves prepared. And so how important are those things, man? Those things are extremely important. But a lot of people, I don't know if it's discipline or what is it how did you learn to be so in tune with your body like that?
Because there was just some games that I would come out there and I just felt horrible. And I'm like, why am I feeling horrible? And like as you go through Europe and the checks get bigger, you want to keep making them. You get like addicted to that. Like, yeah, I want to make this one even bigger than that last one, right? Yeah. And it's like, I think my last couple of years, I'm like, I want to be the best shooter in Europe, like hands down number one, right? And I'm right there. And it's like, but how do I separate myself, right? And I started looking at all the little things, like when I come out for some games, it just felt horrible, And I'm like, how do you expect to be the best shooter in Europe if this is how you feel some games? And then 2 days later, I'd feel unbelievable, right? Mm-hmm. So I was like, man, and this was probably starting around 28, 29. So I'm like, shooters, you could probably play in your late 30s. I was looking at a guy like J.C. Carroll, who was doing it at a high level for Madrid up until 37, 38. And I'm like, learn this routine now so you can gracefully age like some fine wine in your European career. So that's probably when I started being extremely critical of myself. Like, hey, you got to start monitoring this. And the overall objective is how do I feel optimal when that ball goes up? Can I feel optimal more times than not?
Yeah. It's a level of dedication that you have to earn. Like you're at the next level, you're earning that dedication and pushing. And I think that's what it takes is somebody who's pushing for that excellence. Like I can just listen to you, I can hear the hunger in your voice, and it makes me smile, man, because that's the same, from a high performance athlete, that's just like what we crave, man. How has that lended to your business career? I'm now moving. You're a little bit older. How old are you? Okay, so I'm 32. You're just 2 years older than me, man. But starting to dabble and move into the business world, I always heard, business people love professional athletes. They love professional athletes because of the discipline that they bring, the intensity, their attention to detail, all those little things, communication, their ability to work with a team, right? How has you being a high-level athlete lended to your business life now, that transition that you're making?
I think it's sort of carrying over that checklist of things that I was doing and how diligent I was towards the end of my career and carrying that right into what I'm doing now and being consistent with it. I have a problem of turning my brain off. So even on a Sunday morning when I'm at church, I could be thinking about what do I need to do? Now, is this my own flaw right now? Probably it is. I do need to learn to turn off my brain now, but it's always going, because that's how I've been wired for so long, right? Because in professional sports, Sunday morning, you're probably getting ready for a game. Like there's no turning it off, for 10 straight months. Yeah. And the second you turn it off, that's a slippery slope. Yeah. So I learned not to do that. So that's what I'm carrying in my career now. I think the biggest adjustment post-basketball is mental. It's a little bit of a slower pace. There's not clear objectives of like, hey, go out and get 20 points and a win and, you'll be just fine. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's really just taking that and then understanding, all right, how can I be better than my competition? How can I differentiate myself from my competition? Similar, chip on the shoulder type stuff that, the opponent might not be the same, but there is an opponent still.
Talk to me about the importance of your work. What is it that you're doing right now and why is it important to you?
So I started an agency, and the goal behind the agency is to give all these athlete stuff, some of the stuff that I had between having my brother, 5 years older than me, paving the way as a mentor, helping me develop, to my father, right, who did everything from a coaching standpoint for me, put role models in my life at a younger age, helped push me kind of indirectly, but he pushed me. And given my clients stuff, other stuff that I wish I had, as far as game film breakdowns, as far as mentoring. I talked to you about, hey, you know what that feeling's like when you're 2 for 15, sitting there on the bus. You're not going to sleep that night, right? You're thinking about all the bad stuff, right? Being there, like I was never texted by my agent. Hey, how you doing? Hey, let's look at game film. Hey, let's look at your shot. Let's try to understand why you've gone 2 for 12 in your last 2 games from 3. If I can help my clients get out of that valley, like I talked about, now if I can just get them back to the peak, the flow state, they can take care of the rest. But it's easy to text your client after they've had 30 points. It's easy to be a fan. But the most important part of the service is grabbing our athletes when they need us the most. And that's basically what I'm trying to do, and then put other resources around them, from the correct strength trainers to mental coaches, giving them all the resources. Like, if you tell me you want to make the NBA at 17, I'm not going to talk in the gray. Let's be black and white. This is exactly what we need to do. This is how I'm going to look at your game. We're looking at where the NBA is at now. Okay, if you're shooting this percentage, this is how I can help you get to this percentage. It's going to take time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight, but putting in systems for them. And like I told you, routines are everything. So helping my clients build out these habits, these routines, if I can get them to do that at a younger age, it's just going to compound, and they're going to be, 10 years from now, they're going to really benefit off of that routine that they learned at a young age. So really just being able to relate to my clients on their journey. It's not easy. You know how it is. Like it's not easy, right? And I'm not the first person to say, "Oh yeah, let's do it." Like it's going to be all sunshine and rainbows, right? It's not. And that's, to me, the relationship aspect of it. Just sitting here talking to you about it. I talked to a couple of my clients about certain pick and rolls. I just talked to them about my game day routine, like helping them through that. Like that's fun. Like that's the beauty in it. Like is the relationship, and just how can I make my clients better than me and then some, right? That's just evolution as human beings.
Man, shout out my agent, dude, because he has been like my best friend. Like, you know what I mean? I fired my initial agent my rookie season, and then I've been with this guy since the last 10 years. And man, he, like, even now, as I haven't played for 2 years, he's texting me. We're talking about business. We're talking about what I'm doing right now. We're talking about just you talking about life. He's helped me in so many different ways, man. He's a mentor, an older cat that comes in that shows you the way. And it's funny because now I got young pros around me that I'm uplifting and I'm mentoring, that want to get to the next level. And I told a guy yesterday, I'm like, dude, I'm just here to show you where I fell at. I want to show you the things that I struggled with. And hopefully that you don't have to struggle with it. You're 22, I'm 32. I've been there. I had all those same mistakes. I had the same thoughts that you did. And so there were guys like, how you had older guys. There's guys who, the old heads, I call them, that showed us the way. I know who was one of the guys that you would say you looked up to?
I looked more into Europe, like obviously besides my
And when
brother.
I say looked up to, I mean like, so I use the term big homies, like the guys who you could call and be like, hey man, this is going on, like what can I do? Or my knee hurts. What kind of exercise? Some of the pros that you kind of looked up to.
My brother for sure. Jimmer Fredette. We started texting when I was in college that senior year when I was kind of chasing what he was doing. He was probably someone that I sought out most for that type of advice. As far as body advice, stuff like that, I started grabbing these close relationships with some of these strength trainers that I was working with, right? And those are guys who are going to continue to work with me in what I'm doing now, because they were so beneficial for me. And then I had the later part of my career playing with a guy like Kyle Hines and just seeing how even keeled he was and being able to pick his brain and just more so like watching how they approach certain situations. I think I'm a visual learner, and I'm always looking around the locker room and just kind of seeing how people are responding when adversity hits.
Right.
Probably that's how I learn the best, is just by seeing what other people do.
All right, that's dope, man. I want to do something with you real quick. We call this. I want to do a little rapid fire questions with you. All right.
Okay.
One thing that you wish that you could tell anybody that's going overseas, a rookie, their first year going overseas, what would you tell them?
It
Any
won't be
advice?
easy. It won't be easy, but it's worth it.
The hardest country you played in?
From hardest from what aspect?
Basketball.
Like
Just
toughness?
yeah, just the hardest for you mentally. Like what was whether it's you not playing or whatever the situation, the hardest country as far as like you struggled the most in.
Probably my first year in Lithuania, getting some DMPs. That wasn't fun.
How many you played 1 year in Lithuania?
Yeah.
Okay. The most underrated teammate, I think I know who you're gonna say. Well, maybe not. The most
Most
underrated
underrated
team,
team?
yeah, underrated teammate.
Oh, teammate.
Ooh, underrated
That's
teammate.
tough, man.
You play with a lot of good guys.
No.
You play with a lot of good guys. Let's go. Best advice. Best advice your dad ever gave you.
The hardest conditions are the best conditions.
Okay. One daily habit that you do today that you did back then, back when you were playing. Or you can go one daily habit that anchor something that you do today that you feel like is your anchor. You gotta do
Run or sweat, work out
every day.
every day.
All right. And then last sentence, I want you to finish this. Basketball taught me.
Taught me a lot. Patience, diligence, routines, consistency, perseverance, leadership, delayed gratification.
That's a big one. Anything else you want to share with us, man?
No, I mean, I think that was great. I think the biggest thing is just understanding if you want to chase your goals. It's like it's there's going to be the biggest thing that I say is like shit's supposed to hit the fan, right? Like because I think just understanding how to persevere through that, perseverance and delayed gratification sort of kind of go in the same pot of it just takes time, right? It's and then if you can learn to be diligent with understanding your skill set, how to improve it, then how to leverage it. Too many times you see on Instagram, players just trying to do everything, right? They'll see a James Harden or they'll see a Kyrie and they try to mimic that. It's like don't be yourself. Do less with more. Do more with less. Sorry. Keep it simple and then slowly build it out from there. So no, I think this was great, man. I appreciate you
My
having me.
my last question for you, man, and I want to know this personally. What does success look like to you? What are you aiming for now? What does it look like? We talk about when you're in EuroLeague and you're playing, you can say, "Hey, go out there and get 20 points in a win." What does it look like to you now?
I think it's probably just being able to look yourself in the eye and know that you gave it your all. You gave it your all. Like there'll always be some regrets, but I think just giving it your best shot. Really, I think that's what success is because if success is something material, I think you're never going to be happy. If you can make success about the process, I think you can find some gratification in that, and then you can also learn how to be a better person. And so I think it's just more so being honest with yourself and trying to get everything that you can with everything that you know at that certain time out of yourself. I think, like I said, I worked so differently as a pro than I did in high school, but I didn't know any better in high school, right? I thought I was working hard. Do I regret some things? Yeah, I wish I could have taught myself diligence when I was in high school. I wish I could have taught myself how to improve my footwork and all that stuff. I didn't know. So I don't regret it too much because I worked as hard as I thought I could work at that time, right? And I think that's something that I'm telling you this, and I'm also telling myself this, kind of being, recently retired and just on the other side of it is what does success look like? I think everyone's just got a different barometer, right? But I think, the North Star is, hard work and consistency and all that stuff.
No, I think you're right, man. Leaving it out on the floor, and I tell myself this all the time is like success for me is doing the things that I know that I should do. If you know you should do it, then that's where you know what I mean? And that's enough of the battle. That's enough of the battle. How many things do we think that we should be doing that we aren't doing? Eating right, going out and taking care of our bodies, just doing those little things. That's what success is like optimizing to 100% everything. That's the goal, and obviously we're not going to reach that, but that, that's what we're trying to get to. And so you're always chasing something. And I think that just letting people
that chase is everything, man. That's the process. That's what I miss the most.
That's what I say. That's what we say is the journey is the reward. Like you're just chasing for the sake of chasing. You're not, there is no end. And so you've got to learn to enjoy the process. Learn to enjoy the reward. We talk about the mental state that we're in during these times when you go 2 for 15 or whatever. That's the enjoyment. Enjoy, feeling that like everybody's enjoy that. Yep. You won't always feel that.
You won't. And it's like there's beauty in the struggle. There's beauty out of just, we got it from nothing. Like no one in this basketball world and sports, professional sports, like nothing's given to you. And being able, a lot of it's just self-perseverance. Yeah. And being able, there's so much beauty in just figuring out the solution on your own. Yes, you'll need some people, but at the end of the day, it's got to be you to knock down shots, to win ball games, right? And I think that's something that, as athletes, that can't be taken away from us, right? And I just think there's so much, like I want my kids to chase something, whether, I don't know what sport they're going to play. Obviously, I hope basketball will be really cool, but as long as they're chasing something, they're going to learn so many life skills from that chase. And it's everyone wants everything now, right? Especially with what I'm doing. I'm talking to a lot of kids at different stages in their careers, and a lot of people, like what I can see, and it's probably a victim of social media, is everyone wants it now. Everyone wants to be ranked right now. You don't want to be ranked right now. You don't. Yeah. Because if you're looking at those rankings and you feel good about yourself at the age of 17 because you're ranked X number, there is a problem. I was never ranked, but I think I probably did better than 90, 95 of the guys in the ESPN 100, and I wasn't ranked. And it's all about the chip on the shoulder never left. And when other guys think they've made it and we're at the age of 17, 18, that's your problem. Now you might take your foot off the gas a little bit, or might put my foot even further down. That's the beauty, though, is that.
And at that age, you don't have the discipline. You don't have the knowledge to not play down to your competition. When you're younger, you're growing up, that's a common mistake. We all, as a younger athlete, you play down to your competition. That's normal until you learn not to. So if you're 17, 16, and you're ranked the top, you're, like you said, you're going to inevitably let your foot off that gas. And so, I mean, go look back at the top 100 guys or the top 50 guys. Where are they at? Where did they land? And a lot of times those aren't the guys who do the best. So
I think I heard a recent quote from Cooper Flagg's mom, and she said, if you're the best player in the gym, you need to go find a new gym. And I was like, oof, that's a good one.
Facts.
That's a good one. And you can see, look at him, look at his fire, look at him. Like, he's only 18 years old playing in the league, but he mentally, he looks like he belongs because he's probably been playing against older people his whole life. Mm-hmm.
That's how you improve, man. And you can't be afraid of that. As a younger athlete, you cannot be afraid of playing with older athletes, and it's not like you're gonna forever play in your age bracket. Like when you get to the league, when you get to Europe, there's guys who've been playing pro for 10, 15 years. When you show up, and you got to learn to adapt. And so whether you're in high school, college, whatever, you've got to learn to adapt wherever you're going and be able to start challenging yourself and playing against those better athletes, man. So.
And it's okay to lose. It's okay to suffer. This is part of the process. Like when I teach shooting, it's we got to analyze your misses, because if we can figure out why you're missing and we can watch it, then we can understand how to make it, right? It's a simple concept like that. And not many people want to be in an empty gym and miss. A lot of people just want to sit there maybe on a shooting machine and just shoot the most stagnant shot. Just as the ball goes in, I feel good about myself. That's not the best path towards development. And I think the best shooters are ones who understand they watch their misses, right? And it's the same thing. I'm using shooting right now as an example, but it's really for everything. It's the best shooters are their own problem solvers. They're
Right.
independent thinkers. Like I became a better shooter later in my career because I understood my body and I understood where the miss was coming from, at what part of the rim it was coming from. Was it from my balance? Was it from my tight back? Was it from not being able to get into my hips?
Yeah.
And it's like being an independent thinker. Like if you need a shooting coach, you're not a shooter, right? Like you should be able to teach yourself mid game and not have to go to someone else to say, hey, how do I do this? No, now you're dependent on someone else.
Right.
Now you're not going to be as confident. You need to have this irrational confidence as a shooter. And that's with everything in being able to, self-teach, problem solve on your own.
And the last thing, man, I want to say this because I have a lot of athletes that deal with this. And they go to practice and they throw a fit when they're in the training sessions, missing shots or whatever. They're throwing a fit, they're upset. And I'm just telling them, I say to them, like, this is practice. If you already knew how to do what you were doing here, you wouldn't need this session. You're here to work on things that you're not very good at. This is practice. So don't be mad because you're not very good at them. You already know that. You know what the intent of this session is to come here and work on your weaknesses, work on things that you need to work on. So you approach it with that attitude of I'm here to learn and I'm here to get better. All right.
For sure. And I just think with like the diligence I'm talking about, whether it's in practice or workouts, it's you have to get to a game speed to improve on anything. Sitting there, taking a stagnant top of the key shot and making 100 out of 110, cool, that's a great number. But it's like, how is that actually getting you better in a closeout situation when you got a 7-2 guy closing out and you got to get it off fast, right? It's like understanding footwork, understanding how to leverage your feet to give you momentum towards the basket, doing all those things. But it all stems from getting to game speed reps by yourself in a gym. Because I always thought if I can do that and make my workout tougher, you give me adrenaline come game time. That's sort of like a steroid. The shot actually should be easier in a game. Mm-hmm. Despite there being defense, despite there being a 7-foot guy in my face, that shot's actually easier because I still know how to hit that back rim, and now I just got adrenaline, and so it's a little bit easier to hit that back rim.
Man, that's the thought of a real shooter. That Billy, man, I appreciate you for coming on here. BBA, I was looking at your shirt. I'm like, what is that? Billy Barron Agency?
No, built by athletes, not about me. Built by athletes.
Okay, well, that's close enough. Man, I appreciate you for coming on here, sharing your experience, sharing all those gems with us, man. I know that there's going to be a lot of athletes, myself included, that get a lot from this, man. You are one of the best shooters that I've known, that I've watched play, and I'm not just saying that because you're on my show. I really mean that, man. I've watched you throughout my career being overseas and watched your games and seen the level that you've played at, your diligence and your discipline. Thank you for sharing this with us, brother. Where can we find you? Where can they find you?
I'm on social. I'll be, I'll have more of a presence. Give me about, come mid-December, early 2026. They'll find me. You'll see. They'll find me.
All right, man. I appreciate you for coming on here, man. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, Obi.
All right, brother.
Thanks, man.
Peace.